Tanya Jones, peer support specialist.
People look at mental illness as a crime. You are a menace to society, and that's not the case. They're not a problem. They're a human being. They're going through something. How can I help them?
An Oregon bridge in the early morning, followed by a flock of birds in the sky.
My name is Sarah Radcliffe from Disability Rights Oregon. There are two crises happening simultaneously. One is lack of access to mental health care, and the other is lack of access to affordable housing.
People on the streets with their sleeping bags, a train passes.
People with mental health concerns or brain injuries who are living on the streets can become trapped in a cycle of incarceration and institutionalization.
Graphics showing an individual within a cycle of places: the street, arrest, court, jail, and the state hospital.
Say that I'm charged with a crime, disorderly conduct, trespass, even littering or public urination. And because of my disability, I may not be able to understand the charges against me and to effectively work with my defense attorney. That's what we call the ability to aid and assist in my own defense. So if I'm unable to aid and assist, the court will probably order an evaluation, and I may wait in jail for weeks or months in order for that evaluation to happen. Then if I'm found unable to aid and assist, the court would send me to the state hospital to receive treatment in order to become able to aid and assist. And I may stay at the state hospital for a long time, months, even years. Then I'm discharged, sometimes back to living on the streets because I'm not connected to the services I may need. Housing, healthcare, transportation, food, government benefits.
I'm not getting released to any services. I'm homeless again. One more time, I get arrested, I get released, I'm homeless. So I'm back at square one. It just continues that cycle.
Melissa Allison, Assistant District Attorney, Marion County.
Just taking them off the street for a couple days and then causing them to lose their benefits, lose their housing, and then really make matters worse for everyone. We're not really helping anybody in that process.
And it's created a doubling in the past 8 years of the number of patients who are at our state psychiatric hospital on aid and assist orders.
There is a great problem here where people are serving more time in custody just because of their mental illness.
Instead of understanding that this person is struggling with their mental illness, they're criminalized. That's a problem. That's the problem.
Dorian Cannon.
It sucks to be out on the streets. I went from being at home, living with my mom and my sisters, to the streets overnight.
Tents on the side of a road.
I've dealt with homelessness since age 20, in and out of jail 45 times. Many of the charges were trespassing, things that mostly a homeless person would go to jail for. The first time I was in the psych hospital was for about 4 months. My first psych eval was that I was schizoaffective.
Oregon State Hospital sign.
I went to the state hospital 3 times. One time was for a year and 5 months.
Treatment at the state hospital costs $240,000 per person per year. More than half of Oregon's mental health budget is being eaten up by the state psychiatric hospital.
They spent all that money. It pretty much dumped me back on the street with no help at all. It's really hard. It's really hard. It doesn't feel that good.
Sarah.
We're spending a lot of money on this process, which we all recognize doesn't work.
Melissa.
Take the humanitarian angle out of it, and we're just looking at the fiscal impact. What else could our communities be doing with this money to avoid these things happening in the first place and making our communities better?
Cars pass on a tree-lined highway. Jessica Camphy, Public Defender of Marion County.
There really needs to be an intervention early on that takes the person out of that loop of pretrial incarceration and hospitalization. We are fortunate in Marion County that we are building good resources to help people with mental illness.
The Psychiatric Crisis Center began back in 1995.
Anne Marie Banfield, Marion County Health Department.
Our goal is to move people out of law enforcement and even acute care services and really to community stabilization.
Jason Myers, Marion County Sheriff.
Oftentimes law enforcement are afraid if they leave somebody on the scene of a call, they'll either get hurt or they'll hurt somebody. Psychiatric Crisis Center is a great place outside of jail, outside of the ED, where people can access services because it is manned 24 hours a day. We want to make sure the community is safe, and that's a great alternative, and I think that's why it's been so successful.
We do that through the outreach team. We do that through our mobile crisis team.
We have clinicians working together with law enforcement officers. We have developed case management systems.
In 2015, we were also able to hire a half-time deputy district attorney to help us focus on the aid and assist cases.
Marion County Courthouse.
I'm Melissa Allison. I do the aid and assist cases at the Marion County District Attorney's Office. When we get a case at the DA's office, we look for signs that this was mental illness driven. If so, can we just connect them with services and not charge a criminal case? And then I dismiss the case.
Marion County's numbers at the state hospital are now consistently going down, which is different than the statewide numbers, which are consistently going up.
The diversion has helped. Our jail bookings from our historic high in 2009 are down, which is good news. The criminal justice system is not the answer. Treatment-based services in the community is, and that's where we see the success.
I'm Josh, and I'm 23 years old. If there hadn't been a diversion program, I think I would probably still be homeless and using drugs.
Cliff Smithers, Josh's father, with Josh at the park.
His mother and I used to live on Wilbur, and so when the kids were real little, we'd have picnics here. I didn't have any idea my son would end up living here. When folks were telling me Joshy was living in the park, it broke my heart.
Sunset in a rose-filled park.
I lived in the park for about a year. My day-to-day was kind of search for drugs, get high, and get in trouble, to be honest. I was charged with 2 misdemeanors: DUI and possession of methamphetamine.
Fence at the state hospital.
I was hospitalized for 95 days. Diversion is helpful because they got me out of jail. They really got me connected with my family, and that was a huge support that I needed.
He's not using methamphetamine anymore, so it's really good to have him back at his real home and be able to just come visit.
Cliff and Josh walk together towards the sunset. Dorian.
There are people that suffer from mental problems, that are homeless, run into a lot of problems on the streets and with jails and institutions. They need someone to help them with housing and Social Security benefits, get them ID, get them medication, get them a job possibly. If you don't have those things, you're most likely going to end up in jail, a psych hospital, or prison.
Jason.
You can't arrest your way out of that issue of behavioral health or homelessness or addiction. It just doesn't work. Where I've seen the work is with an intervention and treatment and wraparound services in the community. That's where lives are changed, and the community is actually safer because the individual is treated and they're better for it.
Tanya.
When a person's basic needs are met, they're able to become more self-sufficient. Our criminal justice system really should find the money to make that happen.
If you care about this issue, talk to your state and county elected leaders and visit droregon.org.
Produced by Rooted in Rights.